Flames were already chewing through the leather seats when the phone on the dashboard lit up with a single text. Next time, answer. Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mascuti, wasn't there to see the heat waves bending the night air above his Porsche 911, but the neighbor's door cam caught every frame. The slit in the canvas roof, the gloved hand lowering a designer silk scarf stuffed into a malt liquor bottle, the whoosh that turned a silent driveway into an orange furnace. Less than 60 seconds later, the mystery arsonist was gone, though not before pausing to wipe the door handle with what looked like a sleeve. Across town, Cassie Ventura's phone lit up too. She stared at the message, then at the man pacing her living room, chart-topping P. Diddy, now whispering fast, angry promises that nobody would ever trace this back to him. He had already forced her stylist to delete 3 voicemails. He had an assistant phoning every news desk in LA to clarify that the fire was probably electrical. And if anyone thought about calling the cops, he had something even hotter than gasoline to pour on them: tapes. 24 hours later, the LAPD quietly shelved a set of fingerprints that should have cracked the case. They didn't vanish by accident. Somebody made sure they would never be matched. The glove, the wick, the prints. Each clue pointed in the same direction, yet none of it stuck. So how did one luxury sports car become a torchlit warning? Why did the evidence evaporate? And what secret was powerful enough to keep a Grammy winner silent for 12 years? To find out, we need to rewind to a folding table, a chain-smoking ex-cop, and a 5-day lie detector marathon. Before the Porsche fire, before the hotel hallway video, there was the windowless office on West 40th Street. At the time, it was little more than an unfinished shell, raw drywall, dusty concrete, one humming fluorescent tube. But to Capricorn Clark, it felt like a bunker. She was 24, a fresh hire on P. Diddy's style team, and she'd just learned that $250,000 in loaner jewelry had vanished on her watch. The fix-it plan was delivered in 2 sentences. You're going to prove you didn't steal it. Uncle Paulie has a lie detector. Uncle Paulie wasn't anyone's uncle. He was a former NYPD detective turned private muscle, 6'3", with 4 arms like parking meters and a habit of narrating every step of his process. Gonna tape these sensors to your fingertips now. Gonna watch your heart rate jump when you lie. Hope you're hydrated. It's a long test. Day 1 was 4 hours of baseline questions. Name, age, shoe size, whether she'd ever taken a paperclip home from the office. Day 2 pushed deeper. Had she talked trash about P. Diddy? Flirted with the wrong choreographer, leaked a playlist preview to a blogger? By day 3, Uncle Paulie was circling a single phrase. Did you pocket any diamonds? Every time Capricorn said no, a cigarette glowed brighter between Paulie's lips. She slept on a lobby couch between sessions. The shower in the gutted men's room had no curtain, so she washed at a gym before dawn and came back for more wires. Each night, the door behind her locked with a sound she'd never forget. A hollow clack, followed by the thud of Paulie's boot against the frame. Somewhere around day 4, something snapped. The machine said her stress readings were inconclusive. So Paulie tightened the chest band until it pinched her ribs. When she complained, he muttered, "People drown in rivers every day." She believed him. Capricorn finally passed on day 5. No confession, just a printout that said truthful. But the jewelry was never found, and no police report was ever filed. What was filed, quietly, was a new NDA. It bound her to silence under a penalty clause large enough to create her 3 lifetimes of income. She signed with a trembling hand, walked out into midtown sunlight, and realized she still had no idea who actually took the diamonds. Years later, when prosecutors asked why she stayed on the payroll after that ordeal, Capricorn's answer was blunt: because he owned every door I could walk through. The fashion houses, the record labels, even the morning show stylists, each got a courtesy call warning that she was unreliable. The only door still open was the one that had just slammed behind her. What Capricorn didn't know was that the same cigarette-stained polygraph routine was about to be pointed at another target, one who did know where the diamonds were, and who would pay for that knowledge in a way even Uncle Paulie couldn't have scripted. When the jewelry house's invoice finally hit Bad Boy's accounting inbox, only one line item mattered: an 18-karat Pav diamond tennis bracelet, market value $83,000, listed as unreturned. Inside the label's penthouse office, a junior bookkeeper highlighted the entry and slid it across the glass table to the boss. Just as a marketing exec burst in waving a fresh tabloid. Front page headline, Cassie's secret Vegas getaway. The photos weren't scandalous, just Cassie poolside with 2 girlfriends. But the date stamp landed squarely on Capricorn's 5-day polygraph stretch. Translation, while the stylist was getting wired up, Cassie was rolling dice. P. Diddy flipped the paper over, then circled the bracelet line with a Mont Blanc and wrote one word in the margin, recover. Step 1 was leverage. Uncle Paulie phoned a Vegas hotel where Cassie had stayed and asked to confirm a rumor. Did she check out with a gift box from a certain Beverly Hills jeweler? The concierge refused to talk, so Paulie called security and invoked the magic phrase loss prevention inquiry. An hour later, he had footage. Cassie at checkout, cardboard sleeve in her tote, the same jeweler's sticker, visible as she waved to a bellhop. Step 2 was confrontation. 2 nights later, as dancers rehearsed for an awards show performance, Paulie cornered the singer in Studio B. Boss wants his bracelet back. Cassie stared at him like he'd named the wrong planet. Paulie didn't raise his voice. He just read the cost of that stone-studded circle, digit by digit, and added, interest grows daily. Cassie's face drained. She hadn't borrowed the bracelet. Her friend had. Slid it into the gift box for an Instagram flex, then mailed it home to LA and forgotten it. Step 3 was retrieval. Except retrieval meant a $20 K cash courier fee same day, or the friend would be outed to the jeweler, triggering a blacklisting that could nuke her budding modeling career. Cassie called her mom in tears. Regina Ventura didn't have $20,000, so she did what mothers do. She borrowed against her house and wired the money before sunrise. The bracelet reappeared on Paulie's desk by 4 p.m., still in its bubble wrap. Problem solved? Hardly. Diddy saw bigger value? Fear. He refunded Regina's loan the next week, then told Cassie, remember who bailed your family out? From that moment, the missing bracelet became an invisible collar. Any pushback on music delays, on late-night meetings, on mystery flight itineraries could be neutralized with 7 syllables. Ask your mom about that wire. But the bracelet fiasco had an unintended boomerang. The model friend, desperate to keep her agency from finding out, volunteered a trade. Something she'd overheard in Vegas. Something about a cocaine run, a charter jet, a bag that never went through TSA. That intel would land on a Homeland Security desk months later, and in a roundabout route, fuel the warrant that opened those mirrored closets in Miami. Yet before federal agents ever saw the inside of that mansion, one more gift would vanish, this time in a Beverly Hills hotel suite, and the price to retrieve it wouldn't be cash or jewelry. It would be an apology filmed on an iPhone, stored in a password-protected vault, and weaponized whenever negotiations stalled. Room 215 at the Beverly Wilshire looked ready for a magazine shoot. Silk throws, mirrored bar cart, and an ice bucket, chilling 2 bottles of Ace of Spades. But the real centerpiece sat on a marble end table, a slim DSLR on a mini tripod, recording light blinking red. Cassie had arrived straight from sound check, still in stage makeup, thinking this was a final wardrobe fitting before the awards. Instead, Paulie greeted her with a USB drive and a single line. P. Diddy wants you to talk to the camera. She pressed play on the USB. Up popped screenshots, her text thread with Kid Cudi, playful, flirty, harmless out of context. But next came security cam stills of the Vegas pool. Same leisure day Paulie had weaponized during the bracelet ordeal. Cassie froze. Why do they still have this stuff? Paulie pointed at the tripod. 1 take, full apology. Add you were stupid, disloyal, and it'll never happen again. Cassie's first instinct was to walk, but she'd walked once before, straight into a hallway slap caught on CCTV. She swallowed, hit record, and read the bullet points. No script, no cuts. Just 39 seconds of remorse. When she finished, Paulie yanked the SD card, slid it into a brushed steel vault drive, and told her, we're even now. The drive went into a branded laptop sleeve, same one P. Diddy carried whenever high-stakes negotiations loomed, label mergers, distribution renewals, prenups. It lived in his luggage like a nuclear football. Fast forward 8 months, a streaming service exec offered Cassie a solo deal outside Bad Boy. She mentioned it during a late-night studio break. Wrong place, wrong moment. Within hours, that vault drive materialized on the mixing console. P. Diddy didn't shout. He just played the apology. You see why they won't sign you? Integrity issues. But I can fix that if you do something for me tonight. Tonight, meant a penthouse at the W Hotel, 2 out-of-town financiers, and a freak-friendly male dancer the assistant sourced via telegram. Cassie obeyed. The next morning, paperwork for her streaming deal sat unsigned on P. Diddy's desk, never to be delivered. She asked why. He slid the vault drive across the glass. Because you still owe interest. Over the next year, the apology clip functioned like a digital leash. When Cassie skipped an unscheduled midnight jet to Paris, the boss texted a freeze frame from the video. When she delayed a freak-off call time by 30 minutes, he airdropped the entire file to her phone mid-rehearsal. Each replay rekindled that night in room 215. Each replay sharpening the trap. Step out of line, and this goes public. Bad girlfriend, disloyal artist, brand liability. What the boss didn't anticipate was technology's own boomerang. DSLR metadata, timestamp, GPS, device serial, became breadcrumbs. When Homeland Security finally cracked open those mirrored closets in Miami, they seized a duffel of external drives. One labeled house calls. Inside, the Beverly Wilshire apology, plus half a dozen other confessionals. Bodyguards admitting lost jewels, dancers promising discretion, even a video of the assistant swearing under oath he'd never betray the family. Each file stamped with the same camera ID. That single serial number tied multiple acts together. Intimidation in Beverly Hills, threat in Las Vegas, coercion in LA. It transformed unrelated grievances into the pattern prosecutors crave for racketeering, a silicon-coated extortion loop, replayed whenever leverage lagged. Yet the government still needed a smoking gun, linking P. Diddy himself to the camera. They turned to a repair ticket filed months earlier with a high-end Photoshop on Melrose. Customer name? P. Diddy. Complaint? Camera won't power on. The serial matched. The repair log placed the device back in his hands days before room 215. But the most damning detail wasn't the repair receipt. It was what P. Diddy scribbled on the back. An address and one cryptic phrase. Test tonight. Investigators believe room 215 was that test. The apology video wasn't damage control. It was a prototype. After it worked, the vault drive became a traveling black ops kit, ready to roll whenever obedience slipped. And that portable archive, once his ultimate insurance, will now screen in a federal courtroom, scene by scene, soundtrack muted so jurors can focus on the eyes of each guest star. Cassie's gaze, in particular, tells its own story. Part terrified, part resigned, part calculating an impossible exit. What she didn't know then, a queen can't outrun the board alone. She would need a rogue bishop, a disgruntled number 2 who'd quietly photocopy flight manifests, hotel ledgers, and an overlooked customs declaration that placed the boss somewhere he swore he never was. That bishop finally speaks under oath.